Banks Studios. This hour of the Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. They need your guns. Sell for top dollar. DonleyAuctions.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other, he's Shaun Thompson. And this is the Shaun Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag.
Dignity.
And when the band plays hail to the
How do you
chief,
sell self-loathingness to individuals and then pretend to give them dignity? You see, if you support these policies of the collective, these policies of the massive amounts of failure in our society, all perpetrated by one and one party only. How do you do it? First, you have to strip away the dignity of the individual, and then you have to pretend to give it back.
When we say tax the rich, we mean moving from a system where the lowest income earners are paying a higher tax rate than some of the highest income earners. And Republicans have been pushing for a flat tax. We're asking folks to pay their fair share. And for us, that is on the millionth earned income. It would be an additional tax bracket. Our tax brackets right now are incredibly wide. So your
tax brackets right now are incredibly abusive, extortionist. And your tax system taxes tax money, taxes spending, but moreover raises the cost of things, which is what it is meant to do, you communist bimbo pig. You're selling this stuff when we had the youngest country with the highest quality of life. Take a look at the quality of life prior to this system of abuse and extortion. Take a look at history anywhere you'd like.
Who may be making, I think it's like $465,000 that they're paying the same tax rate as somebody who's in the 750s. That's a pretty significant different income. And then adding a 1% increase on the billion income tax class.
But it's beautiful. The full court press on taxation negates the hundreds of billions that have been stolen in their entitlement schemes. It negates the hundred of billions that have been stolen in their foreign policy schemes. Like, let's say the foreign policy to Ukraine. $200 billion is $200,000 million. Where's the fracking money, whores? And you're worried about taxing people, Americans? You're unmoored from this redistribution idea. And this is the part to focus on. They're not taking Peter's income and his tax and they're distributing it to Paul. Oh, no. It's far more pervasive. They create policies intended to be stolen from. They create the policies, the money is stolen, and the kickback system lives forever. That's how it really works.
I used to deal with Ukrainian corruption quite closely across different spheres. I even published a book on Ukrainian corruption after Maidan. I can tell you that in actual fact, I believe that nobody knows the actual scale of Ukrainian corruption. We can only say that I, as someone who has lived in Ukraine and who has insights, I can say that corruption has been transformed. It used to be a crime, a criminal act, but now it is the foundation, the basis, the pillar of the Ukrainian regime.
What do you know? You're just the former officer of the Ukrainian Special Prosecution. That's all you are. You were part of the team that Joe Biden made go away. You spent your entire life, Vasily Prozorov, fighting corruption in the former Soviet Union. You don't know anything about it. We'll hear from Hunter Biden, from Joe Biden, from Victoria. My thighs are killing me, Newland, you fat slob, and every other Obama official who set us on the trajectory from Obama's years to now to $300 billion. I say this to you because when you hear about Iran, you hear about the money of Pete Hegseth, you hear about the death of the soldiers, which is terrible, infinitesimal to the 233 Chicagoans murdered this year. 1,035 shot, where it's far more dangerous to live in Chicago as a United States citizen as it is to be in the military facing a war with Iran. Far more dangerous in just one bankrupt ghetto created by Democrats, like the money that is being stolen by the millisecond in Ukraine.
Of Ukrainian governance, and there are no moral restrictions, and there are no smart...
Squirrel, do you happen to know the Ukrainian tax system? Do they have a heavy progressive tax? How is it that Ukraine doesn't have a more aggressive tax system than America? How is that, Squirrel? And the reason is their economy, like Somalia, like Chicago, like New York, New Jersey, and California, exists on stealing our money. The Americans that go to work every fracking day, the ones that make the world go round. That small infinitesimal percentage of people who understand the economy and participate in it. And here's the good news, Squirrel. We, the decent, more than unanimously support Donald Trump.
Trump is still very popular with Republicans. Just take a look here. Okay, 21st century own party approval rating, about at this point in the second term. We got Trump, we got Obama, we got Bush. Look, they're all fairly popular, but the one who is the most popular, and we have seen this time in and time out, no matter when you look, is Donald John Trump. He's the only one who's over 80%. 83% of Republicans still approve of the job that Donald Trump is doing as president. He still has that magic touch.
The magic touch comes from who he always was. What made him popular in the first place? See, he was never cultivated in Caligula for nerds, where Mitch McConnell can get laid. He was never populated in Caligula, where Nancy Pelosi can get stooped by a Capitol policeman while her husband's driving around with his boyfriend in an ascot smashing into cars. He dealt in the real world. 1987, Squirrel, Donald Trump.
I'm not here today because I'm running for the presidency. I'm here because I'm personally tired of seeing this great country of ours being ripped off.
But as far as Trump is concerned, our allies are only part of the problem.
That's Barbara Wawa. Oh, she was quite the tramp herself. However, Squirrel, this is 1987, which meant when he said, I'm not running for president, can you imagine if we could have had 8 years of Reagan as he was dragging around that corrupt, scumbag, lying CIA fraud Bush Sr., and then 8 years of Trump? It would have been impossible for the rise of the repulsives we face today, known as the American Democrat Socialist. You know what they are. The Fourth Reich.
Culprit is Iran.
Why couldn't we go in and take over some of their oil, which is along the sea?
How would you do that? Would you send in the Marines? Would you take a chance in a war?
Let them have Iran. You take their oil. That's what
How?
How?
I mean, do we want a war? What do you mean we take their oil?
You go in. You're
how
have
do
a
we
war,
go
Barbara.
in?
You're going to have a war by being weak.
Okay, how do we go in? What do we do?
Excuse me.
Yeah?
You're going to have a war, and it's going to start in the Middle East.
What if the Soviet Union said, you do this to Iran, we're going to come in?
I don't believe they'd do it. The next time Iran attacks this country, go in and grab one of their big oil installations, and I mean grab it and keep it, and get back your losses, because this country has lost plenty because of Iran.
Like, comment, share.
Here's the other thing you got to remember. He was still pissed off, as the decent were, since the attack in 82, the attack in 81, the attack in 86, the more than 3,000 attacks that have been perpetrated by the Islamo-Nazis since Jimmy Carter and the American rat Democrats allowed Iran, formerly Persia before Hitler, to be taken over by a theocracy. A theocracy not bent on success of its people. Just ask them. They've all got dignity walking around in those sheets. It's built on promoting the cult of hate. It's not a religion. It's a cult. Kind of like what the American Democrats are. I mean, after all, if you can look at their areas, all ghettos, all hopeless, all food deserts and business deserts, all where it's better to be a politician than it is a citizen, like the Soviet Union. You would then understand, would you get the phone, Squirrel? You would then understand exactly what we're facing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you to our witnesses here today. I want to begin by first echoing my colleagues' comments that we've heard throughout the hearing here, and join them in mourning the loss of American service members who were killed in action these last few days. My thoughts are with their families, with service member who remains missing, and with all those injured during the strikes. And I will continue to pray for their families. Secretary Hegseth, over the course of the war with Iran, I have repeatedly expressed concerns regarding the administration's lack of a winning strategy and repeated contradictions about the state of the war. Frankly, it doesn't help that you and your president continues to mislead the American people. You and the president have repeatedly said that the war, as we've heard over and over again, is almost over. Or
boy, isn't that what they said to us? As we started to send the billions and billions, now $290 billion to Ukraine. Every one of these morons suck on Democrats. Every one of them. Could care less about the money that's being stolen in Ukraine. By the week, another member caught with his hand in the cookie jar every fracking week. Not to mention Zelensky has a $10 million painting in his office.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has dismissed the Armed Forces Commander-in-Chief after nationwide protests. And we can get more now with our Chief Europe correspondent, Oliver Crook. Ollie, just for our international audience, give us the significance of this change of personnel. Does it show Zelensky's weakness on some level, that he's bowing to pressure from protesters?
Perhaps to a degree, Lizzie. It certainly makes his life a little bit more difficult at the center.
What do you mean difficult? It's $295 billion in the wind. It's not difficult. He's got a $10 million painting behind his head in his office. No difficult. The difficult is giving the veneer and the distraction to keep the American people's focus off of it. That's where the American Democrats come in.
Already won. In fact, the president alone has said the war is almost over more than 30 times. On March 1st, the president said, we'll be done in 4 or 5 weeks. On March 9th, he said the war was very complete. On April 8th, he declared total and complete victory.
See what they are trying to distract from. Donald Trump isn't fighting a war with a country. Donald Trump is fighting a war with a cult. As we've been fighting it since 1979 in one form or another.
Being a Muslim democratic socialist, I thought it would be pretty straightforward.
You just saw like, well, what if I label myself something that scares people the most? I'm a Muslim democratic socialist.
First of all, let me explain something to you, John Stewart. That's John Stewart, whose big accomplishment in life is he's a clown. And Mandamni, global intifada, lived with his mother last year. Nobody's scared. Scared. Maybe repulsed. But you're communists, these Islamo-Nazis, you don't stand a chance. And I'll still have enough energy to pleasure your women.
You scare them twice.
And I'd like to run your public transportation system.
Yeah. It's the perfect cover, Squirrel. It's the perfect cover. And what you do when you're in that position, you backdoor nationalize our property rights that we're founded on. That's what you deliver over and over again.
Well, Democratic Socialists taking aim at New York City landlords and their profits. Martha McCallum pressed the co-chair of the DSA's New York chapter about the attacks. Here it is.
Landlords in New York have been making a 12% return on their investment on average.
How much should they make?
And what is the onus on the degenerate communist? What does he have to do? What does it take to be a member of this good-for-nothing, useless political party? What exactly is your participation in life? What is your obligation to your fellow commie? I mean, maybe if we really start picking this apart, we'll understand it's a distraction to simply steal our money, like the former Soviet Union or any one of the entities involved with the American Democrat Party or any one of the states where the hundreds of billions of dollars have gone missing, all in the same entitlements they pretend are going to deliver utopia. 312-642-5600.
What if everything you've been told about government, health care, poverty, energy, and even science is a carefully constructed lie? In Shaun Thompson's new book, What If It's All a Lie? Shaun Thompson dismantles the myths at the core of modern America. This is the book the ruling class doesn't want you to read. And once you do, you won't see the world the same way again. Order your copy today at ShaunThompsonShow.com/book. Maybe you've thought about taking a cruise. Maybe you've even talked yourself out of it. But this is not just another vacation. This is the Gulf of America cruise. 7 days through the Caribbean with Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, Jennifer Horn, and a ship full of people who love this country. No packing and unpacking, no complicated planning, just great destinations, meaningful conversations, and a once-in-a-generation celebration of America's 250th. This November, be there. Text CRUISE to 94878 to book your cabin today.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid.